What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another My Week With video. So this week I've been driving the 2024 Buick Envista, and this is the Avenir trim to be specific. So I already did a full review on the Envista last year, and I was really impressed with it. I think the bottom line is the price. For $23,500, including destination, you can get one of these vehicles, and it has most of the same stuff as this Avenir trim, with a few exceptions. You get the leather seats here in the Avenir, you have a heated steering wheel, heated seats, you also have a few other extra tech features, like you have adaptive cruise control, you have blind spot monitoring as an extra add-on. There are a lot of other little things you can add on, but I think that, my takeaway from the review event was that, it's just a really solid base package with having, this same screen as standard with these double displays that are really big, 11-inch touchscreen as standard, the digital gauges here as standard. It's just, incredibly impressive for that price tag of, only about $2,000 more than a base Chevy Trax. And after living with this a week, I still have the same basic takeaway. There were a few other little things that I observed here during my week, including fuel economy, which is interesting, so stay tuned for that. But first off, the one thing that I've noticed is that these are a little buzzy, especially when cold. I'm doing this review here in January, and whenever it first starts up, there's a lot of other vehicles that, will be a little buzzy or, rattly whenever they're cold, but this one just seemed like, just wasn't insanely high quality, with the little bit of a buzziness you had at those colder temperatures. Once it was up to temp though and a little bit warmer, totally fine, rattle free, and there was no other, annoying sounds or anything like that. So totally fine as far as that goes. One little thing that was slightly annoying is that there is a slight throttle delay on tip in. So whenever you are starting from a stop and you hit the gas, there is sometimes where I would have to wait a beat or so before it would actually start going. I'm not sure if that's just, a throttle thing as far as the way they calibrated that, or if it's just a transmission trying to get ready for whatever it feels like it needs to do. It's just a 6-speed automatic, so it's not like there's a million gears to shift around through, but it just I found myself having to give myself an extra beat, and so you can't be super aggressive pulling out into traffic in this or anything, because you are going to be waiting every once in a while. But there's other times like this where I got on it, it was immediately ready to go. So it's not always consistent. It's kind of interesting. That makes me think that it is potentially a transmission thing, of it just trying to figure out what gear it wants to start in, and that's maybe the slight delay there. But otherwise it's been totally fine. It's a really well-behaved little vehicle, even with this little 3-cylinder 1.2 liter engine with a turbo on it. It's plenty of punch, and hauling the family around here all week with our daughter in the back, it's been plenty of power, and also lots of space, lots of great space here. That's the one thing that I think really sets the Envista and the Trax apart from most of its competitors. Not only the insanely low price tag, but also just the fact that you have so much space for that money, and just blows other subcompact crossovers out of the water with tons of legroom. And so if you are someone who has to install a car seat, it just really helps in that regard as well, because we have our forward-facing car seat. Our daughter's pretty tall, for a 2-year-old, and yet my wife was still able to sit in front of her here and have decent space here in the passenger seat. And so you cannot say that about basically all the other subcompact crossovers. There's a couple other exceptions that do give you a good amount of space, but most of those are going to be more expensive. So that's why I really feel like for someone who just wants a good amount of space, a livable, nice little vehicle to run their errands in and just live life in, I think that this and the Trax are fantastic. But I think that this is even slightly better value for a base one of these, because I think that extra $2,000 over the Trax gets you some nicer interior materials and more upmarket looks, if that's something you're into. And I just feel like the Envista is going to be a huge hit potentially. I've already been seeing tons of Trax around, and I'm assuming that I'll start to see a lot of the Envistas around as well. But the one little upset that I did have is fuel economy. So these are rated at 28 mpg in the city, 32 on the highway, and 30 combined. And whenever I was on the launch event, I believe I was getting pretty close to 30 with the kind of driving I was doing. Now that was longer, extended drives, where the engine was nice and warmed up and all that. But now doing my around town kind of driving, which is, suburban back roads, cruising, no grueling stop and go or anything. And I did do a little bit of highway driving mixed in there as well. But, most of my trips are pretty short trips, and now in the winter time here you have a longer warm-up period, so that's going to drag it down a little bit. but I didn't expect it to drop as low as it did. I've been averaging 23-ish MPG. Sometimes it's gotten 23.5 or so, but I mean, you know, way lower than even that 28 MPG city rating. Sometimes I'll do 1 to 2 MPG less than the city rating, you know, so I was saying maybe I'd get into 26 MPG or something, but to be getting 23 basically is a little underwhelming. I mean, this is a pretty light vehicle, even though it is a crossover. It's, you know, pretty sleek and aerodynamic, and I mean, it's a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder, which just goes to show that, you know, if those turbos start, you know, spooling up, you know, it's going to drink gas just as fast as something with bigger displacement. So, you know, I don't really know how much you gain with this motor. And I mean, some of the other subcompact crossovers, I got better fuel economy without turbos on them. And so, you know, just a little bit disappointed in the fuel economy there. If it hits those ratings and, you know, you observe that, then that's great. And I'm hoping that, you know, if you do longer drives, this would rise. But I mean, I was doing some longer extended drives here this week as well, with the family, running a bunch of errands all back to back, and still, you know, hasn't been able to crack over 23 here. So it is what it is, but that's just the one disappointment is, you know, if you're going to go down to a tiny little engine, you're hoping that you're going down to that engine because you're going to get good fuel economy. And, you know, 23 and something this small with front wheel drive is pretty unremarkable and disappointing, to be honest. So that's the only other little thing, you know, but, you know, even if you are going to get better fuel economy and the competitors are also going to be more expensive. And, you know, and some of them also with that naturally aspirated motor, they'll feel slower because they don't have the turbo punch of this motor. And that turbo punch is really nice down low. And, you know, I mean, it feels punchier than you might be expecting for something with an engine as small as this is. But, you know, so overall, that's really my only disappointment. Otherwise, it's, you know, top marks across the board here for the Envista. I think it's a really solid little buy, even with the lower fuel economy, if that is also your experience. But I think that it's so great that these are priced so well. Because for a while, Buick's kind of had inflated price tags and really relied on incentives and discounts to get to a reasonable price point. And I think the fact they're coming out of the gate with a great starting MSRP is just really impressive. And yeah, no discounts really needed, honestly, because it's just, you know, priced so well. And I think that you compare it to everything else, it's going to be cheaper than everything else for the most part, or similar pricing, while giving you more space, you know, more torque at least with the turbo here, and just you know, more tech. I mean, more of basically everything. So I still think the Envista is a fantastic value, and it's been a nice little thing to live with here this week. So anyway, that's all of my thoughts on the 2024 Envista. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Be sure to watch my full review of the Envista if you want to hear more details, and also check out my review on the Chevy Trax if you want to see what you get for the few $1,000s less in that one. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the Envista in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please like and subscribe to keep these videos coming as well. Take care.